Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And today is actually Wednesday, and I am pre-filming this video for Thursday, for Thanksgiving, because I know that there's a lot of people that don't celebrate Thanksgiving or don't live in the United States. And so I wanted to pre-film some videos to have them up for tomorrow for those people. And also, if you're just hanging around and everybody else is watching sports and you want to be uplifted or inspired a little bit, I thought that I would get on here and read a meditation or two. I feel like I have pre-filmed videos for Thanksgiving in the past, and I'm almost positive, although Thanksgiving usually falls the week before, it's usually on the 24th or 25th, right? I feel like in the language of letting go, it's usually about gratitude. So I don't know what the meditation is going to be today because Thanksgiving is falling on the 28th instead of, I feel like it's usually on the 24th or 25th. Am I wrong about that? But let's get into the meditation book and see what it says for tomorrow. Let's see what it says. Okay, November 28th. Here we go. It's taking me forever to get there. Okay. November 28th, back to the steps. Well, that's about more 12-step stuff. So let's go back here and see. November 27th for today, we can trust ourselves. 26th, letting go of self-criticism. 25th, awareness. You know what, let's read, I feel like I did this one the other day about self-criticism. Well, first of all, let's read about awareness and then maybe go into self-criticism. Okay, awareness from November 25th. When we first become aware of a problem, a situation, or a feeling, we may react with anxiety or fear. There is no need to fear awareness. No need. Awareness is the first step towards positive change and growth. It's the first step towards solving the problem or getting the need met. The first step toward the future. It's how we focus on the next lesson. Awareness is how life, the universe, and our higher power get our attention and prepare us for change. The process of becoming changed begins with awareness. Awareness, acceptance, and change, that's the cycle. We can accept the temporary discomfort from awareness because that's how we're moved to a better place. We can accept the temporary discomfort because we can trust God and ourselves. Today I will be grateful for any awareness I encounter. I will display gratitude, peace, and dignity when life gets my attention. I will remember that it's okay to accept the temporary discomfort from awareness because I can trust that it's my higher power moving me forward. So I think it's this interesting concept, right, of awareness. And I've said this for a very, very long time, that the first step towards making any change in your life, or the first step towards growth or recovery or anything, recovery from anything, is awareness. And what I mean by that is becoming aware that there is a problem, okay? And that can be in a relationship even. Let's just say that you wake up one day and you realize, I haven't been happy for quite some time. And I don't know that I think that my partner is happy, but you're scared to have that conversation. That's what it's talking about. That sometimes when we have awareness, it scares us, right? Like long before I got sober, I knew that I had a problem with drugs and alcohol. I was fully aware of it. People would say it to me, and I would make a million excuses because I didn't know what my life looked like without drugs or alcohol. I couldn't even imagine it. It was so scary to me to imagine. I mean, it's weird to think that I'm coming up on 30 years, and 30 years ago, I had no idea 30 years ago this week, I was not invited to Thanksgiving by my family because I was so off the rails. It's so weird looking back on that and thinking that I was so full of fear of what my life would look like without substances in it. I had no clue. I had no clue what my life would look like, without drugs or alcohol in my life. No clue. I was terrified of it, I think when you're going through relationship problems, I think like when my husband and I, before we got into marriage counseling and we were like headed towards divorce, I mean, we were pretty sure we were going to get divorced. And I think that my fear that came from the awareness was I was fully aware that we had problems. He knew it. I knew it. We even had a lot, we had those conversations like things are not good. I mean, Alex looked at me standing in this bedroom and he said, we're either going to go to therapy or we're going to get divorced. Like that's where we're at. Right. But even then I was like, therapy scared me. That awareness of speaking the problem, because if you think about this in life, okay, in the families that we grew up in, sometimes in the relationships, I know couples that are horribly uncomfortable, horribly unhappy, and they stay in unhappy relationships and they make excuses like, we're doing it for the kids. Well, the kids aren't happy either, okay? Or we're doing it because we have a business together, or we're doing it because of our families, or we're doing it because of a religious commitment, or we're doing it because we've been together for so long we don't know anything else. But I think, okay, that people deserve happiness. And if you're not willing to work on that happiness, because a lot of those same couples that I know that will make 50 excuses up for why they stay together, even though they're so miserable, are also the same couples that are unwilling to do any work on it. They're not willing to go to any couples retreats. They're not willing to get in therapy. They'll actually make fun and diss therapy. You know, they won't go into couples counseling. They won't even read a book like the 5 Love Languages. So they choose to stay in a miserable situation, okay? Well, I think that I might have been able to be one of those people. To just stay in a miserable situation, you know, and go to bed every night with my husband and be like, night, you know, whatever. I think that I could have been there. I think the awareness of having a problem was what made me so scared. You know, people reach out to me all the time and they're like, well, my partner won't go to couples counseling with me. I don't know. Do what my husband, I'm not telling you to do this, but my husband didn't threaten. He was like, we're there, okay? I mean, it's either divorce or therapy, and you know it and I know it, and we're there, you know? I don't know, I almost said threaten because it felt like that at the time, but it was the threatening of the truth. Like, I knew that, right? And so I think that when we went into counseling, I had a lot of fear of going into counseling. I didn't know what was going to come out. I didn't know what was going to be expected. I didn't know that. I think also part of my fear of going into counseling was, what if we go into counseling and the counselor's like, there's nothing to fix here. Like, you guys are a mess and you need to get divorced. I mean, what if he affirmed that the problems for us were so far gone, you know? I mean, strangely enough, here we are 8 or 9 years later, our marriage is better than it's ever been. Our communication is better than it's ever been. Our intimacy is better than it's ever been. You know, we lean on each other, we support each other in a way that we were never able to do that. But the awareness of having the problem kept me stuck. It scared the hell out of me, you know? I think the best example of how awareness works, especially in recovery, that's so helpful to me, is that I can remember, like, changes that I've had to make in my life, or let's say, like, working on forgiveness, or making amends to somebody. And I can remember in the past, like, okay, let's talk about forgiveness, because I think forgiveness is a hard thing, right? That maybe it was something where somebody was asking for forgiveness, but maybe I wasn't there yet. And I can remember talking to not just my sponsor that I have now, but previous sponsors as well that would say this to me. And this can be in working a step. This can be in, you know, trying to be on a weight loss journey. This can be about anything, you know, improving your marriage. Any change you want to make in the world, if you think about it this way. And I can remember the first time that I had a conversation with one of my older therapists that since passed away, and it was about forgiveness. And I brought to him, I said, you know, this person has asked me for forgiveness and I'm just not there yet. And I don't think that I can forgive them. And I'll never forget, he looked at me and he goes, you don't think you could ever forgive them? And I said, oh, I don't know if I can never forgive them, but I'm not there yet. And he goes, okay, can you imagine yourself being there? And I said, I mean, and I really couldn't, in all honesty. I really could not even imagine myself looking at this person and saying, I forgive you. And I said, I don't know, I'm like really struggling about it. And he goes, do you want to be there? And I didn't even really want to be there. I didn't really want that person in my life at all. And I said, I don't know. And he said, okay, so you can't imagine doing it. You don't even know if you want to be there. He said, do you want peace and serenity in your life? And I said, yeah, I do. And he goes, can you imagine what peace and serenity looks like in your life? And I said, yeah, peace and serenity looks in my life like waking up, being happy, joyous, and free, not being burdened down by things. He said, when you think about this person in your life, do you feel peace, serenity, and joy? I was like, oh, absolutely not. Like, right away I said that. And he said, okay, so for you, peace and serenity and joy is not having this complication in your life. So forgiveness is really for you. It's really about you forgiving this person to release yourself to have peace and serenity. And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right? And he goes, okay, so can you imagine that? Can you imagine what your life might be like without having that in your life anymore? And that I could do. But I still was not ready to forgive this person. I still was not ready to even go there with it. I couldn't even imagine that, right? But I had the awareness of what it looked like. And that awareness was the first part, you know? It's like I've had people, I love this saying in recovery when people will say things like, I don't have a God, but I believe that you believe in a God, so I can believe that you believe in a God and that works for me, right? Like that has helped me so much when there's like a concept that I can't get around. I know that was probably confusing to some people out there. When there's a concept I can't really get around, but if somebody else believes it, I think prayer was like the first one that this ever happened with me. Like, I just didn't necessarily believe that having, like, any kind of conversation with a higher power that I wasn't even that sure of to begin with did anything or achieved anything or what. I didn't know, or if it was just positive affirmation or if there was even anything out there. I didn't even know, right? But I saw people that believed it. I saw people that really firmly believed it. They weren't arrogant about it. They weren't throwing it in your face. They weren't shoving it in your face. The easiest way to turn me off from any spiritual beliefs is to shove it in my face and say, this is what you need to believe, or this is what you need to think. You're going to lose me in that second. I won't pay attention. I won't listen. I'm done. That's the easiest way to lose me. But when I would see other people, especially like in meetings, that would talk about the power of prayer and meditation and how it would work for them, and I knew that they believed it, then that awareness came in me. And I was like, well, if it works for them, maybe it'll work for me. It was by example that they led, right? And that's sometimes where awareness comes for me. But awareness is scary, because when awareness happens, like, you know, for me, before I lost weight, I'm walking up and down the stairs and I'm huffing and puffing. You think I didn't miss the fact that I was huffing and puffing? You know, you think I didn't know when I was standing in a mirror how heavy I looked, or when I got on a scale how heavy? I'm sure I knew. I knew I wasn't healthy. I 100% knew that. And that was scary to me, because I was like, there's so much that I have to do to get to the other side. And I don't know that I'm there. And I don't know that I can do that. I was terrified of that, you know? Just like when we stood in this bedroom and Alex said, we either need to go to therapy or we're going to get divorced. It's one or the other. We're not doing anything. Like, we're just stagnant, you know? And I knew that he was right, but that terrified me, you know? That terrified me, that I knew that we had all this work to do, and I didn't even know if it was achievable. I can remember when we set the goal that we were going to give it everything that we had for a year, and if at the end of the year we were like, we weren't any better than we were when we started, then we were just going to go our separate ways and part civilly, because we had given it everything that we got. I was terrified of that. I can remember thinking, oh my God, it's going to be a year, because I borrow trouble a lot, and so I can remember thinking to myself, it's going to be a year, and nothing's going to have changed, and then we're going to be in the same place, standing in the bedroom, being like, okay, well, now we're getting divorced, you know? Everything that I've gone through where I've had awareness in my life when I first got sober, you know? I mean, everything where I've had awareness, it's been scary to me. And so, because awareness means it requires change. And a lot of us are not comfortable with change. I've talked about that more recently. You know, I've talked about how today I try to embrace change. Well, I've kind of been forced to have to do that, because when your life changes, and all of our lives change on a pretty regular basis, okay? When your life changes, or there's a lot of change in your life on a regular basis, you are kind of forced into a position to embrace change, you know? To the point where today, I'm not as scared of change as I used to be, because sometimes change brings newness. Sometimes change brings excitement. So I'm not as afraid of change as I used to be. I don't love it, but I'm not afraid of it. Sometimes I do get excited about, like, what will this change bring? I don't know, you know? But I think the lack of awareness is staying completely in denial. And being in denial and having a lack of awareness means I'm not going to grow. And growth to me means I'm going to enjoy life as fully as I can. So whatever and I think awareness really is the first step, because it's the step out of denial. You know, most of us, when we have awareness about some problem in our life or something that we're going through, we were already fully aware of it anyway. We were just refusing to accept it. You know, I talk about acceptance on here. What's the option, right? Well, the option is choosing ignorance. The option is choosing denial. To sit there and go to bed every night next to a partner that you are maybe not in love with anymore, or that you're dreaming of something different. Maybe that's even dreaming of being single. I've been in those relationships before where I'm like, I could imagine myself living in my own little apartment by myself, other than being with this person. It wasn't really even that bad. It was nothing abusive. It was nothing horrible. We had just become roommates. My ex and I were like that. I loved him dearly, but it wasn't what I wanted to sit across from a partner that I just looked into their eyes, you know, and I just couldn't stop looking at him. And I still feel like that about my husband 16 years later. In fact, going through everything we went through in marriage counseling just made it stronger. My ex, I loved dearly. He's a great human being. He's a fantastic person. I didn't feel like that at the end. And he didn't either, you know? So the awareness was already there. I just wasn't willing to accept it. I mean, how many years have I been aware of needing to lose weight and not being willing to do anything about it? So it's like, I mean, like I said with the drugs and alcohol, how many times do you think people said stuff to me about my drugs and alcohol? My family, my friends, you know, all kinds of people, probation officers. I mean, I had a professor that said something to me. I've shared that story before, you know, and it was like, I knew it and I didn't want to accept it. And so it's accepting what we're in denial about. And then the awareness is, I have to do something about it. The time has come. But whatever you're sitting on right now that you're not willing to make any changes about, and changes doesn't mean, like, if you're in an unhappy relationship, you get out. Maybe change looks like saying, hey, let's talk about this. Let's go to counseling. let's get some books, you know, and that's a starting point, you know, or maybe it's just going out and walking like I've been trying to do, or at least saying, I need to lose some weight. I need to be on some kind of weight loss journey or health something, or I need to do something, you know. Maybe today you're not ready to quit using drugs or alcohol, you know, but maybe you can slow down a little bit and test yourself and see if slowing down is it'll even work for you. Maybe you're not convinced yet that you have an alcohol or addiction, you know, but like, or alcoholism or addiction. But maybe if you try to slow down and it doesn't work for you, you'll know. Maybe that's the first step out into awareness, you know. But I think fear keeps us so grounded, because with awareness comes a lot of fear of knowing that we're going to have to make some changes, because that's a hard place to live, right? To know that we have to make changes to be happy, but being unwilling to do that because it's easier to stay uncomfortable than it is to go through the being uncomfortable to a point of happiness. We only have so many days here. Like my sponsor says, we all have an expiration date. I want those days to be filled with as much peace and serenity and be as happy, joyous, and free as I possibly can. And if that means I have to work through some tough shit, then I have to work through some tough shit. And I hardly ever cuss over here, so I apologize for that. But anyway, let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.